One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it over and over again. Podcasting is so special. And the reason why I think podcasting is so special is because there's so much more collaboration than competition in this space. And today's interview is the perfect example of that, because I had a chance to sit down with Veronica and Steve from over at Pod Sound School, and we just had a blast. I mean, I'm not going to spoil all the things that we talked about, but it was just so refreshing to have a really genuine conversation with people who do very similar things to what I do. And I felt nothing but invigoration and energized. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that I've met other people in the world that love to help other podcasters, other content creators, and they just have such a big heart to help other people share their message. So like I said, I'm not going to give you any spoilers here. I cannot wait for you to enjoy this conversation with Veronica and Steve from Pod Sound School. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of podcasting, think of this show as the time-saving shortcut you've been looking for. So let's get right to it, shall we? All right, Profit Podcast listeners, I have some extra special guests for you today. I am speaking to the people over at Pod Sound School, and I am so honored to have Veronica and Steve here with me today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for
Hello,
having
everybody.
us. Hey, everyone. How's it going?
We're excited to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't often do a lot of interviews where it's 3 people. So, but I do like it. I do like that we have 2 women and a guy here, and everybody's
Yeah.
used to hearing my voice. So they'll at least know. I've done a few interviews where it was me and 2 other guys, and they're like, wait, who's talking? Who's who? So this will be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. But
So that
tell us
means
a little
that
bit.
Steven is not going to be talking a lot.
Uh-huh.
Right,
Which will be
exactly. We're going to
that'll
be
be
telling all the
We'll
stories.
take over the conversation.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Well, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get into podcasting and doing all the amazing things that y'all are doing today?
I'll
You
let
wanna
you
take
take
that?
that. No,
Oh,
you go
me?
ahead. Yeah. Mhm.
So, it's been, I think the reason why we started the Pad Sound School and the whole reason we are where we are is because I wanted a creative outlet. I wanted a creative project. I felt like Steven had that creative part figured out, and he's been in the music production and audio production and movies, and he's been very creative his whole life, even when he was a kid. But me, I decided to go the attorney route and going to law school and graduate and have good grades and be in the corporate world, and I felt unfulfilled. I felt that wasn't my path. I would come home and he would be just happy creating and doing his things, and I'm like, oh, I want to be part of that. So I finally got so fed up with my job that one day he proposed to me to just started this company, and that's what we did. We started the Pad Sound School, and at that point he had created a couple of podcasts.
Yeah.
And I said to him, okay, I am not going to be behind the microphone. I'm just going to be the CEO, and I'm just going to, have all the administrative and financial things in check. And then one day, he was very sneaky. He's like, just come here and say this.
Uh-huh.
And so little by little, I'm like, no, because I was terrified of the microphone. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be in front of the camera or I'm going to record a podcast with you.
Yeah.
He's like, well, what about if you write a script? I'm like, yeah, I can do that because I'm a very good writer. So I'm going to write a script and read it. And the first times they were absolutely terrible.
It was just, the debacles were just insane. But luckily she was brave enough to start this crazy venture with me. We were listening at the time to Don't Keep Your Day Job, the podcast
Kathy Heller.
with Kathy Heller. And so that luckily Veronica had her head full of that podcast. So she was ready to, and she's always been a crazy podcast listener.
Yeah. I love podcasts, and I think that she's just so great to show you what the possibilities are when you just tap into your creativity and into your purpose, and you connect with that in your life, and then that you can have fulfillment by doing what you love doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted in my life. And Steven was, he wanted that too.
Yeah. And it's funny when Veronica was talking and just about her experience and the whole debacle of getting her in front of the microphones.
No. We have stories.
Yeah. And also she just, has the English being her second language and everything else. You would think this confident lawyer type would be, but no, it was very interesting. We used to have to play music in the background for her when she was recording podcast episodes and like just anything to get her into the vibe. And now she just takes it and rolls with it. And
yeah, I think you just have to come to the realization that you have to let go. Like, it doesn't matter how it comes out of your mouth. Well, unless it's something terrible and you are insulting people, that way you need to right away just set the record straight that that's not what you meant. But you just have to let it go. And people will find that genuine and will find that endearing, that despite your accent, despite that you don't have, everything figured out, you're really trying to put yourself out there and to connect with other people that are just as terrified as you are.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really cool stuff, because that's actually showing up and being your authentic self and being, we say transparency is trending.
Yeah.
So just being who you are and whoever that is, and actually allowing the unique parts of yourself to shine. Being really wearing those as badges, like your accent or your weirdness or your obsessions or whatever, your crazy laugh that will blow out microphones. Veronica. That's the kind of stuff that people really resonate with. And now fast forward a few years later, when of us just getting started on a whim, I think Veronica has touched a lot of people, and she's inspired a lot of people to get out of their comfort zones because she was brave enough to do that. So that's pretty cool.
I think that's our role as a podcast coach is really.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love how y'all are just like pitching and catching the compliments. Like, this is a fantastic team. This is so awesome. I love seeing that. So when did y'all start Pod Sound School? What year was that?
It was 2018.
Yeah,
actually.
2018.
So we're still very new, just going on 3 years now. And yeah, we just, like Veronica said, we had a couple podcasts that I had produced, and I had been in music production and everything else for a long time. So it was actually an episode of, I remember from that podcast, Don't Keep Your Day Job. And it was the Grammar Girl. I can't remember her name, but she was just talking about why she started the Grammar Girl and how she had all this expertise in grammar that she could share with people. And I was thinking, like, man, I listened to all these podcasts, and we'd been listening to hundreds of podcasts because we were doing relentless rate review swaps with podcasters on a previous podcast we had. And they all just sounded really bad, and they were great podcasts and great content, great personalities, great ideas, but the audio production was pretty lousy. And I thought, well, that's something we could share. That's something that I would love to share with the community. And so that's kind of how it got started, was let's teach podcasters how to get better audio quality. And then we got taken into a lot of different directions. And now we teach people how to get on YouTube, and we teach people branding and storytelling and all the other stuff that goes into not just podcasting, but content creation and how your podcast winds up just being one of the many things under the umbrella of the brand that you're creating.
Yes. Yeah. This is really where, whenever it comes to y'all's content, I was first introduced to everything that you do on YouTube, because I had seen, because I started around the same time that y'all did. And I started really just kind of playing around with YouTube because I had no idea what I was doing. And I could definitely, maybe I'll ask you some questions about y'all's YouTube strategy, because y'all have done amazing things over there. But I really was in the same kind of position as y'all of let's start putting stuff out there. Let's see what works, and let's see what people respond to. And I'm just so blown away by, I started in 2018 as well. So I feel like this baby, right? I feel like a baby in this space, but also we've been around so much longer than people that are even listening to this show or possibly watching us. They're looking to us as we need your help. We need your input in our own journey. And I just think that it's so fascinating how quickly technology moves and how everything in the podcast space is changing. So I want to know, what's the thing about podcasting? Is it the people? Is it the message? Is it the connection? Is it the equipment? What is the thing that you're just like, oh my gosh, I just love it so much, and I want to help other people with
it? Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants.
Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
For me, the biggest thing is and I'll go first on this, I guess, is that I think it's the perfect stepping stone into stepping into your greatness as kind of for me, what I've seen, like, and we've worked with clients too and helped them start their own podcast. It's amazing to watch people's transformation of getting confident, but then also getting a clear understanding about what they're meant to do or what their purpose is, or like why they're even wanting to create content in the first place. I think that a podcast more than anything helps you to figure all that out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the long form content. Maybe it's just the looseness of talking,
Mm-hmm.
interviewing, and or even if it's not an interview podcast, like putting scripts together. It's just really magic that way. It's the changes that happen on behind the scenes with people that is what gets me going so much on it.
Yeah. For me, I've been a podcast junkie for many, many years. I think it's the connection that you develop with your audience and the connection that you develop with people in your industry that really gets me emotional and really just makes me recommend podcasting to anybody. And it's because when you put somebody behind the microphone and they just let go of any expectations or any insecurities, or if you're nervous, after a while you just relax and then you just get into the zone when you bare your soul, show yourself your ideas, your dreams, your stories. And I think, in my opinion, it's the best way, even better than social media, than video, to get somebody in their realness. And for example, we were helping one of our neighbors in Utah to have a podcast for only their family. They wanted to memorialize stories of grandma and grandpa and people who are like getting old and they're losing, their memories and all that. So memorialize all that. I just think that's beautiful, how you can record audio, record stories, and just cause that connection and emotional reaction, and save those stories for future generations. I just think that, I mean, how many there, I can't even tell you how many times a podcast has made me laugh. A podcast has inspired me to, and it inspired me to quit my job. How many times I have learned about things from a podcast, how many times I have laughed,
Now there's also a lot of issues that listening to podcasts has caused Veronica too, because she's a big true crime fan.
Yes,
and so
so it's my guilty
she's
pleasure.
really paranoid all the time. Like the other day I had a shoe and I was just looking, it was my exercise bike shoe, and I needed to tighten the screw on it. And I came in the room with the shoe, and I guess I was going to murder her with the shoe. I'm like, you've got to stop listening to these true crime podcasts.
Yes, I'm a crime junkie fan.
Crime junkie.
And last night we had to sleep with the windows open because the smell of paint is. By the way, we are remodeling our home and our studio, and there's paint all over and just all sorts of mess. We can't even find our equipment. We're lucky we're here. And we left the windows open, and I'm like, well, do you think that somebody's gonna get inside the house through those windows and murder us? Like, I remember this case that the entire family got murdered because they left a window open. I can, but I listen to that podcast religiously. I'm obsessed with true crime.
She listens to it with our 12-year-olds, and they also now
say that on the record.
Yeah, it's bad. Everybody thinks and it's me. I'm the one who's gonna kill everyone.
It's always the husband, right?
It's always the husband.
Anyway, I'm dying. Yeah, no, that's so funny because my husband, he loves Dateline and like the 48 hours. Like he doesn't listen to a
Oh,
ton of podcasts, but he watches
mhm.
all these shows. And I'm like, I
Yes.
can't do it. He used to travel a lot for work and we have 3 boys. And it's
Mhm.
like he would leave and he's like, all right, I'll be back. And then I would be like, you're leaving me here with these 3 kids and all these crazy stories are in my head. Like he just tells me about this is like secondhand stories that he tells me. I don't even watch them and I'm freaked out enough. So I'm like, no, I don't need those. I'm not a true crime. I freak myself out enough. I'm that person to this day. We have our boys' bathroom. They have a shower curtain, the old school shower curtain. Anytime I go in there, I swear I'm always like, okay, we're good. And one day the cat was in there and he jumped and I jumped and it was just a bad thing. So no true crime for me. That is not my jam.
Yeah, Steven is the same. He doesn't like true crime, but I'm like, listen, so I have stories, I have the story for you.
Uh-huh.
He's like, no, please.
So I guess like anything else, you can take something and you can get what you want out of it. But
Mhm.
so I guess to sum up both of our answers, it's just the freedom of the freedom and the authenticity. I think. Is
Yeah,
what we
and
like.
also I feel like TikTok and Instagram and social media is just scrolling, fast pace, and podcast is just such a fresh air.
Uh-huh.
It's just so you just tune into your podcast and you forget about the rest, and you can spend 45 minutes listening to somebody. I mean, if you're not into podcasting, you should consider
Really
that.
consider getting into it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. I love the ripple effect of podcasting too. It's like, you could share a story. Well, just like what we were doing. It's like, Veronica hears something, she shares it with Steve, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he knows about that podcast or he knows
Mhm.
about that story. So it's like not
Mhm.
just about the person directly listening to the host of the show. It's about the people that you're going to tell or you're going to share. So I see it having an even bigger impact. And I'm just curious, do you have any like students or members of your community that have had like this awesome win or like a fantastic moment that you're just like, this is why I do what I do? Do y'all have any specific examples of that?
You can go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So recently, one of our clients, Erin, and she's the host of Your Such a Catch podcast. She was featured in the podcast magazine.
Awesome.
And we were like, oh, we couldn't believe it.
It was so cool. Yeah.
And not only, well, that was a good thing, but it's just to see her, how she has taken her podcast and she's building a whole brand around her podcast, and it's just the coolest thing what she's doing
Within just a couple of years.
within just a couple of years.
Because,
it's insane.
Yeah, when we first started with her, very timid behind the microphone, and you can go listen to her old episodes and just kind of unsure of what her podcast was about or unsure about any of that stuff. And now she's just confident. She's not working her corporate job anymore. She's building a brand that she's doing her podcast full time. Also, her podcast was about dating and in your late 30s in LA. And she was all just telling her crazy dating stories, trying to find true love. Well, she found true love through the podcast, which was crazy. Like that's actually how she met the guy. Was he became, he knew her before she even knew him because he was a listener of her podcast. And so now she found true love. She's like manifested everything she wants in life. She's in the podcast magazine. Just like, wow, this is unbelievable. So that's probably our biggest like success story. The other one for me that I think about is a friend, a colleague, and a student too. Eric Hunley with his YouTube channel is really crazy too. With after we were helping him with that, because he was he has a podcast called the Unstructured Podcast, where he interviews people relentlessly. And like one year he had like 100 episodes in a year or something, and just one of the hardest working podcasters. But his downloads were never exceeding a certain amount, and he was just kind of in this plateau after a while. And then he got himself onto YouTube, and he started going live on YouTube, and now he's got 46, a lot of 30,000 subscribers or something like
close,
that.
Yeah,
And
something
just
around there.
not that the numbers are what matters, but he's like actually generating profit now. And he's, he's really found a place and a calling and an audience and a community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so cool to see that.
And
because
he's having fun.
Yeah. And he's having fun, and he's lit up in what it is that he's doing. It's just so cool. There's a tipping point, and I think that's what it's about, is just the consistency and the open-minded. If we're open-minded, and if we are like willing to adapt and change and face our insecurities and things like that, and we stay consistent, then we actually see like a lot of really amazing things happen in the world of social media and the website or the interwebs.
Well, I love that. I want to go back to what you were saying about having fun, because I've watched so many of y'all's videos and y'all crack me up. I love the different personalities. I love the different, like, like this person thinks this. Well, what about this? Like, I love it so much. So I want to know, in y'all's content creation journey, did you have this idea of what you wanted your YouTube or your podcast, like anything that you're creating, what you wanted it to be, and that's what you're creating? Or has it been kind of an evolution over time? Like, well, we tried this, but now we want to do this. Like, what does that journey look like for y'all?
It's been an evolution. It's been, it's just so funny because, it seems like from the outside, we know what we're doing, but we don't.
We don't. We have no idea.
We're just constantly experimenting and like pushing the boundaries a little bit with our videos. I think that we're still, as a company and as the channel, we're still trying to figure things out, to find the balance between providing value, but also being creative and just like honor who we are as creators and what we bring to the table. But it's been an evolution. I remember one of the first few videos Steven made me do. It was me talking about I don't like audio production. I like writing and content strategy and all that. That's kind of like my in social media. But he is the audio engineer, and then he made me stand in front of the camera and read a script about signal flow.
Which, and in hindsight too, that was something that's changed. Is it's kind of like I wanted people to be passionate about the things that I'm passionate about, but I think that's something that is a journey that a few of our clients have gone through as well too, which is we start by creating about ourselves. It's all about us. It's all about like a very internal, very self-centered. And then it becomes more about your community, and it becomes more about what people need and how you can help people and what they want. And that comes from like market research. I remember a big moment when things changed for us pretty early on was Veronica also really, and I love her too, but Veronica really loves this influencer, Vanessa Lau. She has a YouTube channel. Yeah. And
I love
Vanessa.
Yeah. And so we actually were students of her Instagram course and kind of took her course together. But she really got us into this idea of like, who is your ideal listener? Who is your, she was the one who kind of pushed us into that marketing world of, and we've since really gotten into that a lot is like, who is it that we're making our content for? And I think that's really when things changed. And so now we've taken a step back, and if I am going to talk about signal flow, which is pretty important and I think very fascinating, it's got to be spun in a way that our audience is going to actually find it useful.
And I think it's been what's been very beneficial that we are very different people, that he is trained in the technical side of things and audio production, is that when he comes to me with a certain idea, is like, okay, tell me what it's good for. Don't tell me, okay, signal flow and all that. Okay, tell me why I need to understand that in order for me to record my podcast.
And then I'm like, oh, well, actually you don't. So
Yeah,
we won't make that video.
I'm
We'll
not
make-
interested in
yeah,
that. Just tell me where to plug things out and all that.
She
So,
needs to know. She calls it a thingy-majingy.
thingy-majingy.
She wants to, where do I put the thingy-majingy and give me the,
No, but I feel like over the years I have learned a lot about equipment.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, so me, like dumb me that I didn't know anything about signal flow. I made that video, and you should go see it on our YouTube channel. It's pretty hilarious because I'm reading a script. My eyes are going from one end to the other.
Yeah, and there's a green screen, and
the animations are kind of cool, but I'm like talking about something I had no idea about.
But the other thing that I guess is the real takeaway to answer your question, because it's a very long-winded answer, is it's about the audience. And when we shifted from being self-centered to being audience-centered, because I'm an audio engineer and the signal flow thing, and I'm very uptight about certain things, that the idea of podcasting on a phone or using a phone to podcast was one that you could have never talked me into. I would have been very, very like, oh, I'm too good for that. Like I would have. And in all of our market research and keyword research and looking, it's like so many people are searching for that. Like everybody's wondering, can I start a podcast on my phone? So when I put my own, thoughts aside of that and really just got into, okay, well, how can you start a podcast on your phone? And that we put together a video teaching people how to do that using the Anchor app. And that's actually what has blown up our YouTube channel, is that one video. And so it's like to just give people what they want. And it's about service more than it is about, I don't know,
about
fulfillment
you.
or or self-fulfillment or fame, or I don't know what it is. 'Cause that's definitely not why we got into it. I think we really wanted to just help people
help
get better
people
at their content. Yeah.
Well, we're going to put the signal flow video in the show notes for this podcast.
Oh,
now I'm like, it's one video. I'm like, I haven't seen this, so I have to go watch this video. We're going to link to it for sure.
Well, there's another one that you should watch too.
Oh no.
What is it?
Not the
Which one? We got to know.
The Apple one?
Yeah, the Apple.
I think I was mad that day. I don't know what was going on.
What was it?
It was the how to submit your podcast to Apple.
Oh yeah, how to submit your podcast. There is an impersonation there that people should go watch.
Oh no, but they're actually hidden.
Yeah,
hidden in a lot of our videos. Like Veronica will like burp during it, and I'll like sneak that in there. Or
I would have fits.
Yeah, or we have like arguments or fits, so we like to sneak those in there just because. Yeah, it's fun. And that's the other thing. I think that it above everything, I think it should be fun.
Yes.
That's our first in our, every business should have like a 5 points of your now I've got a loss of words, but our very first point in all of our bullet points, our mission statement or whatever is, are we having fun? We stop a lot and ask that. Are we having fun? Though maybe we should like take a break and do something
different. And sometimes when we go with our gut with something that we feel super creative about and are having fun, those are the videos that perform the most.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And I think that that's why I was drawn to all y'all's content, because that's the same thing for me. Is like, I love to have fun. I like to be a little silly, a little quirky.
Know.
Just kind of put it out there, because this is who I am, y'all. It's so hard for me to try to pretend to be something that I'm not. So I'm going to share about the ridiculous things that I do when I'm recording, or the fact, y'all, my cat, like we're literally recording and I forgot I shut the doors to my office and the cat is in the office with me. And he was like, look, I was like, he's going to jump on the shelf. When you were talking a second ago, I was like, he's going to knock something off. Now he's just sitting on my desk. And I'm like, really? Like, I want to push him off and just be like, get it. But then he's going to be stuck in here with me and he's going to be mad. So I'm just going to leave from there. But these are the things that I think people really relate to, is when you are yourself. I think that you can tell when people try to do silly things and you're like, that's not really this person's personality. They're putting on a show and it feels weird and maybe a little cringy. But with y'all, like it's so entertaining and it's so natural. And I think that that's what people are drawn to, because y'all you're having fun, and it's very apparent. And I love this. I think it's fantastic. But I want to talk to y'all about being a team, because for me in my journey, I have been, I've had project managers, I've had virtual assistants, and I've had people behind the scenes helping me with a lot of pieces of my business. But when it comes to my content, it's usually myself doing solo episodes, solo YouTubes, unless I'm doing a live stream or an interview with someone. So I don't have the experience of working with a co-host. So can you share any thoughts, like maybe a high and a low that y'all have had on this journey working together as a team?
That's crazy. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's been so great to be able to work with Steven, because he's so creative. He's a very creative person, and he whatever I bring to the table, he's like, yeah, let's do it, and he finds the way to materialize my ideas. And I feel like we communicate pretty well. We know how to like just get on the same page with certain things. With that being said, it doesn't mean that we don't struggle sometimes, and that we don't have disagreements, or that we just like, I can't work with you today because that, it's just, it's how it is. It's difficult to have a co-host. It's difficult to work with your significant other. It's not always, how do you, so I'm so bad
at expressions, idiomatic
expressions.
Like, it's not always hunky-dory.
It's not always hunky-dory. It's not always, kisses and hugs and we're all happy here. No, we had our disagreements, and it's because we both have very strong personalities, and we know what we want. And then when the other person is not getting it, we just get into this back and forth. And then sometimes we have to take some time apart and then just breathe. And he's very good at what he does, and I'm very good at what I do. But it's just it's been a matter of finding that, okay, we need to drop this here because we're not going to places. We just like have to separate, and then we reconvene.
Yeah. And that's also been part of the journey too. That's been really valuable, is the personal growth that happens through all this stuff. And, because when I get into like setting up the gear and setting up the cameras and setting up the microphones and the cables and all that stuff mode, I kind of get into a little bit of like a psycho. Yeah. Or I mean, I wasn't going to say psycho. I was going to say
no, you do.
She was real quick with that word. Yeah, she knew exactly what.
And actually, I like start making boop, 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 making noises and stuff.
Making all sorts of.
So now we've had a talk. I can't say boop anymore, because if I go boop, then it's like PTSD. So so there's a lot of that kind of stuff, and we're lucky in that sense, because I don't think I could work with anybody besides Veronica. Our personalities mix really well to collaborate. So if you play well with others, and if you collaborate and you can communicate really well, but I also think that co-host relationships sometimes cause a lot of problems too.
They do,
especially if there's like passive aggressive things going on. And a lot of times with podcasters and people, there will be one host that kind of just does everything, and the other one just kind of shows up and unprepared. And so you really do have to have the uncomfortable conversations, and make sure that you're not only that you're being heard, but that you're also open-minded to adjust
what I tell my clients is that if you're going to work with a co-host, you need to take this relationship as if you are creating a business together. I put things in writing as much as you can, divide roles. That's super important. Who's responsible for what and when, and have established schedules and things. The more clear you have the roles that each person will play in the relationship, the better.
Yeah.
So I think that would be my advice, because you want your podcast to be this place of creativity, and when all the administrative planning thing is taken care of and you just show up and you do your work, then it's not about you and and your drama that you have going on is like,
Mm-hmm.
it's about your audience. It's about the content that you're creating. And I think that's what is helping us a little bit, is that we get to a point, okay, we just have to let go. This isn't about us anymore. This is about our community, our
Mhm.
audience. And we just have to let our egos aside and come to an agreement. And then you're going to stop beeping.
Yeah. You're going to stop booping.
Booping.
Booping
And
and
I'm going to
beeping.
let you talk, because I
Mhm.
interrupt him all the time. I don't let him talk. So,
Yeah. Mhm.
because my ideas are better.
But they are. It's true. I just push the buttons, and I like to make sound effects when I push buttons, like
You push my buttons.
I push your buttons. But I'm very interested to hear just a little bit about your experience with virtual assistants and online people as far as on your team,
Mm-hmm.
because that's something that we've definitely struggled with.
Yes, we have some troubles finding the
you
right
know,
people.
So I guess then it comes down to communication. But so when you say that you've worked with people, what's some of your experience? I'd be really interested to know how you deal with those kind of struggles.
Yeah, what would be your suggestion for somebody who is looking to find somebody
to work with,
for social media or
for a virtual assistant? Because that's something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. So I have used, I've had a project manager who I worked with for about 6 months really closely y'all, I'll just be really honest. If you've watched Friends and you're like a Friends fanatic, and people on the show know this, my business was like Monica's closet. Everything looks so beautiful, organized, like on the outside, but there was this one corner.
Yeah.
It was like, don't open it. You don't want to see what's in there. And that was like my Google Drive, all my files, like Canva, like everywhere where I had all these really important assets of my business. They look great when they're out on social media, but behind the scenes, it was a hot mess. And so I had her come in and really help me put in like systems and processes and workflows. And that has actually set me up to have more of a well-oiled machine that didn't have a lot of friction. So for anybody that's listening, and especially for y'all, if you're thinking like, I want someone to help me in my business, you have to ask yourself a lot of it just comes down to asking those hard questions that we've been ignoring. Like we've been in denial. We're like, no, it's fine. It works. Like the process isn't great, but it works. If you've been saying that, you need to let's sit down and actually look at it, because you have to pinpoint the areas of friction and then ask, how can I create a system or process around this? And honestly, what I have found, instead of hiring a bunch of people, I have looked to a lot of applications that can do some of that work. Like, back in the day, it was Calendly. Like I just got to have a scheduling system to get everything set up. So that was one of the first things that I did. And then my transcriptions, I outsourced that to Otter, and Otter does all of my transcriptions. So see where you can automate pieces of your workflow, no matter what kind of content that you're creating. And then ask yourself, what are the pieces that no one else can do? And for me, that was creating the podcast, actually being on video, right? The behind the scenes, that's a different story, but being on video for YouTube or for social or whatever, like those things I can't outsource to anybody else. But then I just sat down and wrote everything that I do in a week's time or in a month's time. And it's kind of hard because you're just like, it happens on autopilot. So you don't think about all the things that you do. Y'all, I don't know what's happening. This cat is freaking out. Y'all can see that. The shutter, he's in the window. He's trying to get in the window. The shutter's going up and down. I don't even know what's happening. He's trying to attack a bird outside. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, just looking at all of your tasks and saying what can I actually let go of? Because I'll be very honest, I'm a control freak when it comes to my processes. I'm not the most digitally organized person, but I'm a control freak when it comes to, I want things done a certain way, not in a perfectionist way, but because, and y'all know this too, SEO works a certain way. And whenever you put out information, especially on YouTube or, on Google, it has to be done a certain way. And so instead of outsourcing those important pieces of the puzzle, I would say, how can someone help me with my show notes? And that doesn't mean giving them access to my whole website, because then I'm like, what if something breaks? What if they don't really know what they're doing? That makes me a little uncomfortable. So what I have them do is, let's do all of this in a Google document, right? Because they're still helping you. And maybe the last few things you have to do until you get on a better relationship basis is take that information and put it on your website from a Google document, but baby step into those higher level tasks. Because I mean, I got to a point where I just handed over the keys to the kingdom and I was like, here, do everything. And she organized everything like beautifully and things work so much. Like I'm proud to, before when she first came in, it was like, hang on, let me throw a bunch of things like in the closet. Like, and she was like, no, it's okay. Just let me see your whole mess. And then she helped me clean it up. So if that is a place, if anybody's listening and you have a digital mess on your hands, that is the first person I would look to hire, as someone that knows how to clean up a digital workspace to make it where it's functional and you can actually find things, because now I can do a lot more things just because I know where they are. It's so sad. I feel like I needed to like home edit my life like in the background of my digital world, but it helps so much. So that would be my first recommendation.
That's great. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Cause we have a hard time. We've hired people and worked with people that really just wound up making things worse, that caused more work.
Yeah.
So we've been through a lot of that with the hiring process.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of time to train them to get to your level. And, by the time they learn what they need to learn, it's like, I should have done that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of, we have a few online courses, and we have, certain things funnels and things that are very sensitive and that they need to be connected the right way. And so that's why we have to do it ourselves, definitely.
But I think you hit on something that's really good, which is just, you kind of have to know what you need help with too.
Yes.
When we first started, we're just like, help us, but we didn't even know what we needed help
when
with.
in fact, what we needed was a babysitter.
That's really the best person we ever hired was a babysitter.
Because we were both able to work together and to do a lot of things, get more accomplished.
I think the talent that's really easy to hire and also affordable is podcast editors or video editors. And that was something that was really hard for me to give the keys over to that, because I'm really into editing video and I love editing podcasts, but it takes so many hours, 3 hours at least on a podcast episode sometimes, or 6 to 8 hours on a video. And so that's just something that we've outsourced now. And it's still kind of hard. I get sad about it, but because I love doing that work, but it just frees up all that time to do more stuff. So,
well, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, because I'm kind of in the same boat where I had sat down and I was like, what can I outsource? And one of the first things that I did was we hired a cleaning service for our house, because previously I was kind of a stay-at-home mom doing a lot of these things part-time. And I mean, even it's only, I guess, as of us recording this, we're just now getting into like the first few weeks of my youngest son going to kindergarten. So I'm just now stepping into doing this full-time. And for a long time, I was like, no, I can't do that. Like I need to hire somebody else to do this. I was so quick to say, I need to hire someone in my business. But then even when I was done with my business, I was like, there's this, y'all are gross. Like y'all are disgusting. Like this house is nasty, and it all like lands on me. Like what's happening here? And so that's what I did as well. I was like, this is a gift to myself. Instead of focusing, like I would rather spend a little bit more time in the business and outsource other places in our lives I outsource like shopping. Like I do the curbside pickup at our local grocery store. Like, so doing little things like that can help you. You think it's just the personal and then the business side, but there's so much overlap when you sit down and really look at like, and I've heard this by many people who are like productivity, time management experts. It's like you do a log, like do a diary log of what you do over a week's time, every single thing. And it's so tedious and it's the most ridiculous thing that you'll ever do. But at the end of the week, you'll have everything and you'll say, oh, I can outsource this, or I can stop doing this, or I can like, this is not that important and I can wait and do that at the end of the month or whatever it is. But just those baby steps to get started. And I think that it's so important that, especially with y'all working as a team, that you sit down together and say, how can we do, like, what's the vision? What's the thing that would like really take us to the next level? Because y'all are the only ones that will be able to do those things and then say, where can we get some more help? And then when it comes to finding quality help, that really is a challenge. Like, I'll agree with you. Like, that's probably the hardest thing. But I think waiting for that right person, instead of training a bad person and you're just like, I hope that this gets better. I think it's just easier to like cut bait and say, nope, we're going to keep looking, look for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And even if you have to go at a slower pace or just I think that's a good idea.
That's really good advice. Yeah, and that's where we're at too. Is sort of this reinvention place, sort of a new season for us to kind of to look at like now where do we want to go next? You know, so
so our studio is going to be done soon, hopefully.
Yeah, we kind of have a new studio and a new new beginnings. Now we went from Utah now to North Carolina, so we're really excited about all these changes. And stuff like
That's
that. So
fun. We'll be watching on the YouTube channel to see, are y'all going to share like a behind the scenes of like what y'all did?
Yeah, we're thinking about,
we're doing kind of every now and then we drop like a vlog style video. So where you can see, all the, but it's there because like we're shooting videos in hotel rooms and we're like,
something that we made a commitment very early this year because we decided that we wanted to list our house and to uproot our family and from Utah and move to another state. So we knew that this year was going to come with a different set of challenges for us as a company
with
and
our business
and as a family too. So we just sat down and we made the commitment that no matter what, even if we don't show up on social media or even if we slack a little bit on the podcast, that our YouTube channel was something that we were going to honor and that we were going to post videos every Sunday no matter what. And I think we've done it. So we don't know about this week though.
Hopefully there's one this week that shows up there, but
but so far so good.
So far so good. I think that's just, that's it is continuing to show up for our audience and at least so that people know we're still here, even though we're in this transitional place. And that's important, but
and that it's perfectly okay. Don't get discouraged, don't get sad, don't get desperate, because right now you're in a situation that you have to reassess and there are other things that are taking priority. Take this time to refresh, take this time to write down your new ideas for your podcast or for your YouTube channel if you have one. And just embrace what's going on in your life right now
as you are.
Show up as you are and don't ghost your audience. Keep them informed of what's going on with your life, with what's happening, and then you just plan a big comeback. And that we're all humans. Things happen. We have lives, we have kids, we get sick, we move, and it's okay.
I think that you just gave somebody listening a big gift in like just showing up as they are, like sharing your humanity and like just keep going, just keep showing up, whatever you do, just keep showing up, because there's going to be someone in your audience, like people listening, there's going to be someone in your audience that's going to appreciate you showing up, just as we've all showed up here today with cats and stuff banging in the background. Like, this is real life. And that's what this is all about, is sharing the journey of everything that you're going through. So this has been so much fun, Veronica and Steve, but I have a few more rapid fire questions that we ask all of our guests. So are you up for those?
Yes.
So with the rapid fire, should we do like every other one so they're super rapid, or do you want to just do them at the same time, or
at the same time?
Okay.
These will be really good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I only have 3, so it's not really like a ton of them. So the first one is, what piece of advice would you give to a brand new podcaster?
Start.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Just get going. Don't wait until you get the best gear, the best microphone. Just start on your phone.
Yeah, just start.
Just start. And yeah. Perfect.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now. Yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yes. The next one is a 2-part question.
Okay.
So it's number 1, what's the dream podcast you would love to be on? Number 2, who is the dream podcast guest you would love to interview?
You go.
Ooh, I I was gonna say I'd like to be in Crime Junkie, but I would have to be dead or murder or something like that.
Oh, no.
No, I think I would like to be interviewed at Kathy Heller's podcast. I know that she interviews people in her community that has had tremendous success, and that because of her. So I would like to be in her podcast and be like, look at what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Look at where I am right now, and it's because you planted the seed. And I forgot the second question. The second
And
one.
So
would
who would
you
you
want?
like to interview?
Oh, you go.
I don't
I have to-
know. That's such a hard question. I don't know, because I don't know if it would be somebody in the podcast world, or it would probably be somebody more in the music world or something. I don't even know. I would love to interview Jack Rysdayer from the Darknet Diaries podcast, and to have something to do with that podcast, to just get to be behind the scenes and see his work process, because I'm a big fan of what he does.
And then for me, I'm a big Peloton fan.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the Peloton instructors. Her
Any
name
one
is
of them.
Robin Arson.
Robin,
if you're listening to
Yes.
this, I would like to interview you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she is incredible. And I'm just like, her after having little baby Athena.
I know,
it's like, wait, what's
right?
happening?
I
What's
know,
happening?
right? It's like
She's
I get
amazing.
goosebumps.
Uh-huh.
She is so
She's
so
incredible.
amazing.
Mhm.
We're going to link to Robin's Instagram account in the show
Yes.
notes as well, because she's phenomenal.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The last question is, do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
Yes. Well, yes.
I used to.
I used to, but now, that's what I would say yes, but then it's like, no.
I used to, but now I'm finding fun, and I'm taking ownership of my mess, and I'm letting go.
Yeah, pardon me, but this interview, for example, normally the camera not being right and us being too close and the background being all weird and the lighting's not right on us at all. Even if you're not having any intentions on putting this anywhere for anyone to see what we look like, that would just not be, I'd be like, we have to cancel, but now I just have to go with things, you know, we just have to show up as we are and do it.
Yeah. And then the thing that we all need to think about is that we may missing out on opportunities because we need to have everything perfect. The lighting has to be perfect, and we would have missed on this really cool conversation, this really cool interview, just because the lighting isn't perfect or whatever. We're here and in this little room. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you show up and then you meet people and you just have conversations and have fun.
Yeah, but I do like being a perfectionist. It gives me joy to just be so nitpicky with things. It's one of my great happiest times.
Well, I can tell you from my personal perspective and many guests on the show, the title that we prefer is Recovering Perfectionist.
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
That's me. I'm a recovering perfectionist. Hand over my heart. Yes, so much. So this has been so much fun. Thank y'all for hanging out with us today. Where's the best place for everybody to connect with you and learn more about what you do?
You can find us on YouTube at Pod Sound School.
And then Veronica hangs out on Instagram at Pod Sound School, and I'm the Twitter guy at Pod Sound School.
Yeah, come and say hi.
Yeah, whichever one you like more, you can come bug us on.
Me, of course.
Yeah, it's usually Veronica. But if you're an audio nerd, please, I don't have enough audio nerd friends. Everybody likes Veronica better, but that's all right. I understand.
Well, we're going to link to all of those in the show notes. You'll be able to learn more about Veronica and Steve and all the incredible things that they're doing at Pod Sound School. Thank y'all so much for being on the show today. This was so much fun. We'll have to do more things like this.
Yeah,
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you so much. It's amazing.
You know what's funny? Because I've had those same rapid fire questions for I mean, since the beginning of time, it's what it feels like. But since the beginning of the podcast, like I've always asked the same rapid fire questions. And I always like, hey, you know, what's the dream podcast? Whose show would you want to be on? Who would you want to interview? And can I just say, I want to interview people just like Veronica and Steve forever and ever. Because we had so much fun. The conversation was so genuine, and we just had a blast just being ourselves and, you know, talking about true crime podcast and the fact that like we're all, you know, like secretly afraid of like somebody coming in like to get us in the middle of the night, or like, oh my gosh, like I am still so just embarrassed of how just scared I get in a bathroom by myself. I know I'm not the only one that pulls back the curtain to make sure the boogeyman is not back there, okay? Like there's probably a whole generation of people that will do that forever for the rest of their lives. But y'all, okay, this conversation was so good. And I cannot tell you, like I could go on and on. Like I felt like such a fangirl talking to Steve and Veronica, and we just had so much fun. Please go to the show notes and check them out. Run to YouTube and watch their videos because they're so helpful. And I think that they just bring such a fun element to creating their content that it's just a joy to watch what they create. So the show notes for this episode are crystalprofit.com/episode 298. So go check them out. Go follow them on Instagram. Go just go check out all their resources because they're so much fun. I cannot wait to collaborate with them again because, like I said, I just want to interview people just like Veronica and Steve forever and ever because it was such a blast, and I hope that you enjoyed our conversation. But that's all I have for you today. So if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. Make sure you hit that subscribe, follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast. And I would love it if you would take a screenshot and share it on social media. Tag me, tag Pod Sound School on Instagram, and let us know what you thought about today's episode. But as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.